when I'm coughing, I feel like I'm coughing from my toes.
I just started.
And that's what it sounds like as well.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Talk about your toes.
I will call the Albany Selectmen meeting of March 8th to order. That's how tired I am. I haven't recovered from deliberative.
We got it.
At 5:30 p.m., please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. New business approval of the February 22nd Selectmen meeting minutes and includes 2 sets of non-public sealed minutes. I will make a motion to approve all the minutes.
I second that.
Discussion,
None.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the consent file, review and sign manifest in the amount of $155,154.45 and $28,994.59, which includes accounts payable and payroll manifest for March 1 and March 8th. Review, discuss, and approve renewal of building permit for single-family home at 61 Stacy Lane. So that, I'll go ahead and make a motion to discuss. I will make a motion to approve the consent file.
Second.
So I didn't know what to charge for the fee. So if they renew within the 1 year window, it's $35, but it's not clear. Like they're basically applying for that again. I just attached the old permit, had them do the front page.
Yeah.
Is it the original amount? I think
Yeah.
it was like $252. So they need to pay that again for the
Yeah.
renewal because that went past the year.
Mhm.
Okay.
How much past the year?
February 9th it was approved.
So it's a month. When
Yeah.
did they come back?
He emailed me on the day that I worked from home. What was that, last Tuesday? So that would have been the 8th. Would have been the
28?
no, it would have been the oh yeah. Yeah, it would have been.
So
I worked from home that day because of the snow, so that it would have been. It still was 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2.5.
He had to have known because. And the other thing is,
I
so-
will make a motion to waive that and just charge them the renewal fee.
Okay, so on top of that, we got a complaint the next day from Amalia Torres, who lives next door.
Mhm.
Apparently that night of the snowstorm, the electrician was in there at midnight with loud music playing and all the work vans pointing towards it with their high beams on. And they put the electric on her property line. So I did email him and said, you have to do a new permit. And in the meantime, I got a complaint about your contractor, and he lives in Wilton. He said, I wouldn't like that very much. So I've told the electrician he's not to be in there without telling me.
Mhm.
So he did address that as well. So you want to just,
I will make a motion
Charge
to
them the
waive the original fee and charge the renewal fee,
35. Okay.
$35.
Okay.
More discussion? All in favor? Aye. And next time there's a complaint, they'll have to call the sheriff's department.
They did, and he did also note that he got a call from the sheriff's department, and he told them as well that
Okay.
nobody had permission to be working.
Okay.
That was ours.
Okay. Original motion to approve the consent file.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Review, discuss, and approve, or deny land use change tax for map 6 lot 111, map 9 lot 24-2, and map 6 lot 104. I will make a motion to approve land use change taxes for these maps and lots.
Second.
Discussion.
That's 10 Mountain.
There's 3 of them.
No. It's Barry Packard, Lorraine Griffin.
And
So Barry Packard. Bardo Family Revocable
Bardo,
Trust.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that one's on Birch Hill Road. And then, what's the other one?
You just
And
said
then
a
Lorraine
Griffin.
Griffin.
Oh, okay.
That one's on Passaconaway.
So, I made the motion to approve.
I second it.
More discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Review, discuss, and approve and sign payment in lieu of taxes letter for Tin Mountain
Yeah, that's what I was
for
thinking.
2023. Right. I will make a motion to approve and sign the payment in lieu of taxes letter for Tin Mountain.
Second.
Discussion.
Well, this is
Everything else
standard.
in order?
It's all standard.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town administrator report.
So I didn't know if you needed anything that I haven't already provided for town meeting. I think most of what you will need is in the books, and I'll be bringing all the the backup documents for the budget and stuff, like quotes and
Okay.
then I'll bring, obviously I'll have access to the petition warrant articles or
Yes.
anything like that we
Okay.
need.
Could we post polling hours on the website, just so if people go, they can see that the
Okay.
polls open? Because some state and federal elections, polls open at 8 o'clock,
Mhm.
and we're opening this at 10. So it hasn't happened too often, but some people have arrived at 8, thinking the polls are open at 8.
There really is nothing
So,
There is nothing what.
to vote on, except for one selectman's
Well,
position.
That's a heads up for you guys. So on the ballot, there's a cemetery trustee for 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. Joe was up, never signed up. Kathleen Flashner was a appointment, so she should have run.
Yep.
And then there was a vacancy. So we've got 3 positions that are all up. And I did tell Joe was in today to ask me again about the tree work, and that's a whole nother thing I have to get permission about. So I did tell him, and I told him he should talk to Kathleen Flashner. If they're interested, they should tell their friends to write in or do something.
Yep.
But if you know anybody that's interested or available that would take the 1 year, because we need a third.
Right.
And that brings up my other thing. So Randy Leach called me today and asked me how it was going to work if town meeting approved warrant article number 7 about the $4,000 for the additional work in the cemeteries, and it's to come from the capital reserve fund. And I said, I honestly don't know how that's going to work, Randy, because I said it's not supposed to come from me, because he's interested in doing the work and dropping off an invoice on Monday and getting paid on Wednesday. And I said, the way this is supposed to work is that you're supposed to invoice the trustees, and they're supposed to send that to the trustees of trust fund, and they're supposed to pay you. I have seen towns that pay it out of their operating fund and then get reimbursed by the capital reserve fund.
it's
But-
usually what I used to do.
That would have to be up to you guys if you're okay with me doing that. The only reason I would be okay with doing that is because he's going to need to be 1099 for that money, and I don't think the trustees are going to be able to do that. So if it all comes from me, then it'll be on the QuickBooks 1099 report, and it'll be a lot easier to track.
Sure.
But I'm not going to guarantee that I'll get an invoice on Monday and I have a check ready on Wednesday, because Ann Marrow is in Florida with the checkbook.
Yeah.
2, it still's got to be reviewed and signed off on by the trustees,
That's right.
cemetery trustees. It's
Right.
not for me to approve. All I'm
That's right.
doing is writing a check and then asking Ann for the money.
Right.
So I can't guarantee that the turnaround is going to be in 2 days.
Right.
And that's not really customary anyway. I mean, most vendors are net 15, net
Yes,
30.
Yes.
So I just wanted, if it's okay with you, I will
Yes.
do it that way, but it's still got to go through. And I talked to Joe about that too. And Joe wants to go out and check, like before he approves the invoice, he wants to make sure, what clearing was done and, trees hauled off. And so, and I think that's a reasonable.
I think the process should be that Randy
Talks to Joe about doing the work.
maybe submits the invoice to Joe, Joe approves it, and then it comes to you.
Yeah. That's.
And then the final approval would come from
Yeah.
the cemetery, basically, the reimbursement would come from the trustees. You could even wait until the end of the year and bill all of it at once.
Honestly, this should all follow the trustees. It should.
Yeah, but like Kelly was saying,
So you
it's
should
going
just
to
get a bill.
need to be 1099.
Yeah,
that's
It's
all
just
you
have to
easier
do.
going through.
The trustees of trust funds don't have any mechanism to do 1099s, and so the
No,
town
but
is
he
still.
should approve it ahead of time, so you're not doing all this, and he goes out and the work
No.
wasn't done.
Yeah. And that's what I told Joe. I said, look, I'm happy to write the check if the Board of Selectmen is okay with that.
Mhm.
But it isn't going to be as streamlined it is normally when it's treasurer's money, because that's a whole nother ball of wax. And so Joe said that's fine. I want to go out and look at the work. So yeah, I'll have Randy submit the invoice. I'll send it to Kathleen, and well, I'll send it to whoever the cemetery trustees are after March election.
Right.
And then they need to send it back to me approved, and then I will cut the check and notify Ann whether I do it monthly or quarterly or when the work is done, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't think it's gonna take that long, basically, on how much work there is out there to do.
Right.
No.
All right, and then I think the last thing I had, so we have gotten a lot of complaints about an alleged zoning violation on Passaconaway Road. It is one we dealt with, I think before you guys were on the board. It's 1510 Passaconaway Road. And now I'm even getting complaints from the sheriff's department. There's at least 2 campers that people are residing in. And the police have been out there multiple times. It's been way more than 60 days. We went through this all with the health officer and the deputy health officer in 2020. They told him he could keep one he was using as a chicken coop, and then one registered. He had to move everything else out. He came into compliance. The deputy health officer and the health officer inspected it and took photos. We wrote a thank you letter, and now it's apparently the same again.
Okay.
And so I pretty much wrote the same letter that we wrote in April of 2020, just saying what the violations are, and that the penalty for the violations, once notified, is up to $275 per violation per day. And I sent it to Joe so that he would sign the letter as well, because I thought it would have more weight if it was the Board of Selectmen as well as the health officer. And I sent the sections of zoning, because it's more than one camper, more than 60 days, being used as a residence, no certificate of where the septic is going, and the house is full too, which I said there was nothing we can do about that, unless it's a health violation and somebody complains, you can have more than one family in a house. But this living in campers all over the property has been addressed before with them.
And if I recall correctly, either Blackwater was being released on the property.
The neighbor said that somebody was going to the bathroom in a 5-gallon pail and dumping it in their yard, but it was investigated by the state health department, our health department, and the sheriff's department, and nobody could ever prove it came from there, but it was right across the street. So we never really addressed that, but we felt like addressing this living in these campers with questionable septic would address that. And I believe that after that, the neighbors did not have that problem again.
You need a motion to send a letter.
I don't think so, because I think this is a preliminary situation. I think if we decide that, you need to up it to court or something, then that's a whole nother animal.
Okay.
And then I got an email today. We are still looking for members on the planning board, I think alternates, and then the zoning board. And I got a letter from Rick Highland, who is interested in serving on the zoning board. And I did an appointment form if you guys are interested in
I
having
will
him.
make a motion to appoint Rick Highland as zoning board of adjustment member.
What else can we put him on while we got this?
Let's just.
Well, he was instrumental in the whole thing with the Carroll County Broadband and the
Yes.
Communications District. He is willing to serve, because after that passes at town meeting, which I think it will.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Then you need to make a motion to accept the agreement and sign off on it and appoint a rep and a alternate rep. And he is willing to serve as the rep, and Steve Knox is willing to serve as the alternate rep. So I think that since they are already knowledgeable,
Yes.
that's kind of a good thing for us. And that's all I had.
All right. There are no appointments or a public hearing or old business, Chapel Historical Society, nothing new, Federal Land Access Program, nothing new. Planning Board, other business, we will be having a meeting next Monday evening, and that is March 13th, 6:30 PM. Is there anything else that you had?
I just questioned, did Curtis ever get back on some kind of estimate for the work around the building?
No.
Just so we have that conversation.
And I'm still in the process of trying to get an estimate for AC, just to bring to town meeting,
That's what I was
just so we
hoping
have
for.
something to back us up. So I'll try to get that before we go to meeting.
You want me to call him about the estimate on the landscaping?
Yes. He already knows about it, so it's just not.
Just so you know, I put the budget in as it exists right now and printed an expenditure report. We're already like 50% expended on and I've only gone through Coleman's, it's only 2 months of Coleman's bills. We just paid February statement. We're like $43,000 for plowing already.
Wow.
That's a significant, and salt is at like 50% spent. Hopefully we have another year like this year where it didn't start until
Right.
January, because if we have a bad November and December, we're gonna be in.
I mean, we can always go to the DRA to overexpend the budget and use the unreserved fund balance to offset it. And we're in a really healthy spot there, so if it happened, we should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think since he hasn't started, but I mean, it's just, I sent him the expenditure report because this isn't going to be a year where there's going to be a lot of leftover and wiggle room for paving, because he's, in previous years, he's kind of spent that too. I think we have to be mindful going through the summer and the paving season of November and December's winter season.
Right.
I was a little shocked by it, actually. I knew we'd had storms, but I didn't realize.
Yeah, but it's been icy.
Well, and the price of salt and sand are just crazy.
All right, moving on, correspondence, review and discuss fourth quarter franchise fee notice from Charter Communications.
So we wound up finishing 2022, because this was the fourth quarter 2020. We wound up finishing 2022 at $5,324.83. And 21 was $66.30.84.
Okay.
I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to what.
Well, we changed
Right.
that fee that we passed on to the consumers, so.
Right, and
But it's still not.
well, they're getting to take some money out too, and they only have to pay us at wholesale, not at retail, and that 3% doesn't really work out to be 3%. And I would say, just as a heads up, that number is going to continue to go down as this broadband gets, as Fidium and stuff comes into play. I think less and less people are going to be willing to pay these cable prices. But
That's why I'm not willing to re-sign a contract with them, because who knows where it's going.
well, yeah, because they want like a 30-year contract.
As long as we don't, they just keep extending it because they want our business, so. Okay, that was. Review and discuss letter from DOT listing the next 65 bridges that will be funded over the next 10-year plan process, which we are not on that list, and I'm kind of disappointed in
No,
that.
and we are 121st out of the 179 that are left. And when I called C.R. Willicke to find out what the criterion was for, because I thought we would be on this list, frankly, when I started looking at it.
I did too.
Because I went back and looked, we signed up in 2016, so that's 6 years ago. And I know I've worked for some of these other towns, and I know that they submitted later. But he left me a voice message, and because I said my board's going to want an explanation of this, and he said that we're 121 out of the 179 that are left. And if you notice, it says 65 highest ranking bridge to fund as part of the next 10-year plan process. But then below it says program for construction over the next 6 years, beginning in 2027 through 2032, beginning as early as 2025. So we might get in at the tail end, but at 121 out of 179, probably not. So he said that the reason we ranked so low or high is because our bridge is just barely red listed with one feature that's a 4, which is poor, not. So I don't.
So we have time to continue saving for it.
I guess,
I guess.
if they're not gonna push us on it.
Or I think
Apparently it's not came
I think this is also, if we really only have one 4 and it's only poor, not, emergency closure, maybe we should double down on talking to Curtis about that 45,000 that was the extra one-time bridge aid last year, and see if that would go a long way in bringing that bridge. If we could get that 4 into something a little more acceptable. I don't know what the 4 is. I didn't look at
I
the
don't remember.
inspection, but maybe we should look at it and have a conversation with DOT about whether there's a way to make that 4 acceptable and get off the red list. I mean, I don't know if that's doable for $45,000 or not, but
I think it had something to do with the concrete underneath.
which means
That's
tearing it all
a long
down.
A long time ago.
Well, I think we should at least look at it. I will pull out the inspection reports and share them again with Curtis and remind him about the 4, because we got to spend that 45,000 on bridges.
Yeah.
We might as well spend it on something. I know he was going to do some maintenance on the covered bridge. I think some painting and stuff, but see what his plan is for Drake Hill and if there's anything we can do to. Because it looks like it's going to be a minute before we get state funding to help us.
Yeah.
That was not what I wanted to hear, and I knew you guys would have questions about that.
Yeah. I read it over twice. I'm like, am I missing it? I really thought we'd be there.
Happy first.
So, okay, public comment, none. Non-public session, none. Next meeting is March 22nd. So how do you want to discuss?
So do you want to call a short meeting for in between voting and town meeting, school meeting? You want to do,
How
Tuesday the 14th at like 5?
What if we do Tuesday the 14th and then postpone the 22nd until the 29th if everybody's available?
Do that.
So we do the 29th,
And then spread it
because
out a
there
little more.
is 5 Wednesdays in March. So if instead of doing the 22nd, we do the 29th, and then we don't meet for 2 weeks anyways.
Okay.
Unless you wanna meet without me, that's fine, but
No, that
when
sounds
you
better.
reorganize, don't reorganize
Oh,
it
you're-
properly.
But I know how to organize. I know who's first on the line, unless you got some argument against.
I do.
Right.
Okay, so 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 14th, which will be a very short, just consent file, basically, and any emergencies that come up.
Yes.
And then move the 322 meeting to 329
329.
at 5:30.
Yes, and I forgot at the beginning of the meeting to say that Jen Spofford is excused from this meeting, and she had
Some kind of emergency.
some kind of emergency,
Came up.
so,
Came up late.
and make sure we let her know
Oh,
that plan that,
yes, that would be important.
Yeah.
So she said she could leave work at 4:30 and get here. So you think 5 is okay? Because I want to give you enough wiggle room so that you're ready to count ballots and.
yes.
but-
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Do we need that video? That shot video?
We don't need that
I don't think we
videoed,
do.
it's,
Yeah.
no, I will make a
Yeah, 'cause
motion
they'll
to waive
probably-
the videoing for that.
Yeah, because they'll
They
They have to-
probably
They have to set up.
already
Yeah,
be out in the
that's
big
what I thought.
room.
It's not necessary for the signing of the consent file.
I agree.
And I will let Bill know that
March
we're.
2nd, that
I
one.
did second it.
And
Just moved it.
I-
Second, aye.
And I'll let Bill know too,
Yeah,
we post, because poor Bill, she said to be here on the 22nd. Oopsie poopsie. I try to remember and
Busy time
Right,
of year for
right,
him too.
right, so remind him and Jen. Anything else for next Tuesday that you can think of?
No, I'll be here at 10.
I'll be here at
For
12.
the duration, you come in at 12 and I can
Jen
sneak
will
out.
be here shortly after 4:30 and
you're gonna come afternoon.
Mhm.
Okay. And then Jen will be here after 4:30.
oh, do we have the sheriff's department scheduled?
Yeah, from 10 to 10-ish, whatever it ends, I said,
usually.
They like to have somebody, it starts at 10 and then it goes till
Mhm.
whenever,
Mhm.
hopefully before 10, but
Yes.
So he saw that I replied to Ed, I can come in Monday night and help him set up. So he's gonna reach out if he
I
needs
have,
help.
planning board meeting at 6:30.
That's all right.
I don't
I know
know
how
if
to
you
do it.
guys will be here.
just so you know too, I got a call from Dorothy Solomon yesterday, asking me to provide her with the warrant and some notes. Did I send
You
them
did
to-
good, yeah, you did
Okay.
great.
So I did that because TJ Craig, who's taken over for Dorothy, has COVID. She went to Bulgaria, got sick. Her and her husband are both down and out. So I don't know if they might be short a supervisor of the checklist too. I don't know where she is in the COVID.
Two.
I don't know where she's going to be in the COVID.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're both really ill.
Yeah, as long as there's two, it's a quorum.
Yeah, I assume that Barbara and Paula know.
I hope so.
Well, if Dorothy knows, then she must have been in touch with somebody.
At
So.
least Barbara.
Did they put it? I haven't read the paper. Did they put an article in the
haven't.
paper?
I haven't seen anything.
Right.
All right, so.
And I'm running the ad for posting the roads
Okay,
for
when's
next. So it's going in the paper late this week or first thing next week. It's effective Friday, March 17th is when Curtis
Okay.
wanted it.
Oh, wow. All right.
So it's a little bit late.
I was gonna say
Everybody
it's a
else
little
was
bit
doing
later.
it on like the 11th, but I think
Mhm.
the snow kind
It's
of
a
covered
week
up a
late.
lot of those muddy roads and he thinks that, so he said the 17th. So when I saw him all in the paper last weekend, I called him Monday and asked him when he wanted to run it and he said Friday the 17th. And then they'll call town hall and then I'll have them call him. So if he needs an exception. Just so you guys know.
And reminder that our local hazard mitigation plan update meeting is at 10 a.m. via Zoom on March 22nd. Where would we find a link to the Zoom meeting?
I'll put it on I think it's on the website
Is it
at
on
the
the
bottom
website?
of the front page, but I will make sure that,
It'll be on the homepage of the website, so people can log in if they like. It helps us with our match for paying for our update. March 22nd, I will not be attending.
Mine neither, that's a tough time.
I'm gonna try to get Curtis to come. Like, I think it's important to have some day meetings.
Yeah, we
for-
kind of missed him last time.
We've got a lot of things that have backed up that are
Mhm.
about roads, and I know he did reach out and call her, but I think it's important, if he can just come up here for a half hour and sit in the Zoom meeting with me and she can pick his brain
Yeah.
about anything else that's come up, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's important.
It
It's
is
important because he has that information
Yeah.
and more so, probably at the top of his mind, more so than we do. And
Right.
we want to get it right and we don't want to prolong this process. Like,
And with his experience too, there's things we might not be thinking of that just, he would know right off the top.
right. Well, like when the Forest Service comes, I mean, they've got reporting. I'm kind of amazed at how far back their forest fire reporting and stuff goes, and it's and mapping. They can provide maps of these. So yeah, I think it's important to get
I agree.
that input.
I agree.
That's all I got.
Else?
So,
That's all I got too. I will make a motion to adjourn at 5:59 p.m.
second,
Aye.
aye.
Don't take this wrong.
We should have it in our emails too as we went through the process and our decision.